Nanny G.
Hey, Greenies brother, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, that's good, that's good, that's good. How's your day going?
It's been chill, just doing some stuff on the computer. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm gonna get right into it. My name is Tarami Reedus. I am a musician, African diaspora percussionist, musician based in Houston, Texas. And I run a brand called Drumz Uhuru. And the whole premise and focus and goal is to elevate the voices, the traditions, and the experiences of practitioners of these art forms, African diaspora folk music, right? Um,
Right.
and particularly, you know, there's a lot of misconception around these traditions. There's a lot of curiosity, right? A lot of people want to learn more and know more. Um, and you seem like somebody that's in the community, been in the community for a long time. You've established a name for yourself, and I wanted to, provide you with this opportunity to kind of share your story, share your experiences, and gain your insight and your perspective on these traditions and where we're headed. You know, where you think, how you think we can grow and expand and improve. So, if you don't mind, could you give an introduction as to who you are, what you do, your background, etc.?
Okay, cool. So I live in Miami, Florida, or Fort Lauderdale. My family's from Jamaica. I was actually born in Miami, but my family's from Jamaica. I've been playing djembe for a long time. My first djembe I got was like 5 years old. I officially, professionally started learning how to play djembe at 8. My mom used to go to a community dance class here in Fort Lauderdale, and I would never touch the drums when the teacher, the drummers are going. Mind you, I was a little girl, and I had to look up to them. You know what I'm saying? And so after the class was over, that's when I would go and play on the drummer's drums. And so the season for the classes were coming to an end. And a good friend of mine named Alfredo, he gave me my first baby drum. And then from there, I used to go to the little dance classes, sit on the floor, play my drum. And so 8 years old is when I officially started playing djembe, but I was also a dancer too. So I was doing both. But the funny thing was that I would be dancing on the same step and everybody else would be done with the choreography and I have my dance teacher, "Hey, come on, let's go. Pay attention." So it was that was kind of how I started off. My drum teacher, his name is Musa Suma. He's born in Guinea, raised in Senegal, but he resides here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So that's who I was taught by, although I have played with other greats throughout Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and other places in the world.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Man, dancing and drumming, that's not easy. It's not easy to do. How are
No,
you able to balance that? And what do you see as like, what's the connection with that between the
it
dancing and
was
the
it
drumming?
was it was good, but I just to me the drums were more calling me than anything else, and I was like, and the funny thing is because I was in the children's dance company. I was the only person that was able to have a duality of drum and dance. So, but then at one point I was like, you know what? Forget it.
Yeah,
Let's do
yeah, sure.
dancing straight djembe. And so I've done a lot with djembe. But I used to dance a little bit, not only African dance, but like Caribbean folklore, ballet, the regular modern smeggler, megler genres of dancing, but African dancing was my number one. But at the time, but when I fell in love with djembe, I fell in love with djembe and that was it.
Yeah, so what can you take us through that experience? Like, well, when did you decide or realize that this was something that you were going to dedicate your life to?
Oh man. So I don't know. Because I feel like drumming has been within me from I was a child. Because my father my mom and dad raised me Rasta, Rastafarian, and so I would always go to the Ises. That's what they would call the gatherings. I would always go to the Ises and the gatherings, and my dad had a little. It wasn't really a djembe, it was a kete drum, and so it was, which is a totally different drum. It has a totally different background and things, and so that's kind of how I found that avenue of drumming. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. I don't know too much about Rasta culture. Could you like could you give us a brief synopsis of what that's like, or and the I guess the musicality that surrounds it?
Okay, well, I mean, I never really professionally played Nyabingi music, but I know of it because I grew up around it. But basically, in a nutshell, Rastafari, it just has to do with, one within one, the respect of nature, one another, peace, also like the eating habits, healthy, clean eating, you know what I'm saying? And the music is just a straight vibe, it's very spiritual, it's not very secular or whatever. So that's kind of how it is in a nutshell. Like, Africa is like the main visual point, and you do a lot of studying with like documentaries and speeches and lectures and things of that nature. So, but yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
not lecture.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. That makes sense. I just wanted to, I didn't realize that you were also part of that tradition. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. Uh, I'm in a lot, but yeah, that was when I was, younger.
So, so
But
you've seen a lot of different diaspora traditions, especially being in the Caribbean, being in Miami. Um, what is your take on the commonalities that you have experienced, not just in the music, but also in the culture, in the community? Things that you see commonly as like strong pillars, right? But maybe also challenge.
um, can you rephrase that question right quick?
Yeah, sorry. So it seems like you've been part of a lot of different diasporic traditions, right? Diasporic folk traditions.
Right.
Djembe, you mentioned Rasta, you mentioned some other Caribbean traditions. Have you noticed any commonalities between them? Whether these are like good things, things that are common in the music, and are there any things culturally or communally that you see as challenges in these spaces?
Well, I mean, I don't really see much challenges. Around at least in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. To me, it's, I think it's all one. Everybody has their different looks and how they do certain things. But at the end of the day, the drum called me to all of that. So, like, if it wasn't for the drums, I probably wouldn't have found like uh um not, I can't even say Rasta because that's what I grew up in, but like other forms of music and things and with the culture and stuff, like it's it's all, I feel like it's all one. There's no little separate thing. It's just they all have their different ways of doing it. And to me, no one's wrong, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
how I kind
yeah,
of see. And without the drum, I probably wouldn't have been able to connect with all these cool avenues and adventures and things.
yeah, definitely. Do you think that there's a certain emphasis or importance of community? Because for me growing up, I grew up in the dance classes, you know, drumming for the dance classes, doing performances. And I noticed that, not all of this art that we're doing, with djembe and this culture centers around community, and without that, it's kind of null and void. So what's your take on that? What's been your experience of being community focused when we when you approach the instrument or when you approach your craft of being a Djembefolas?
Well, the community at the time, back then when I was growing up, I was actually in a lot of classes, just like you, drumming and stuff like that. But over the years, it's kind of like had died down. But I wouldn't say we try to work together as a community, but there's always the backstories and the small issues of why you can't work with this person or that group or whatever. So it's just like, now it's here, but it's not prominent as it was, when I was still learning how to play djembe professionally and properly and everything like
Yeah,
that. And plus, I don't really have, as a female djembe player, I don't really have a challenge. It's because I'm playing amongst men. There's not a lot of women who play djembe on my caliber. I mean, there's other people in other states, but I can only speak for where I stay, and I don't I don't get that much challenge when, because it's just a bunch of men. There's no females to say, okay, I could chop it up with them today and just, go to the park and just jam out. It's mostly males. So it's like I like that because it builds my stamina, but it's also harder to play with females because of the power that I bring. You know what I'm saying? So it's the community is there, but everybody right now currently is on their own path. And we try, but you know, that's how it is.
yeah, that's how it is. I think that's a common thing. People people kind of have their own walks, their own paths, and after talking with different people about this, I think that's okay. Like I think there's space for
Yeah, that's fine. To me, I think it's perfect. You know? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Everybody's kind of in their own lane as long as we're able to work together when the time comes. You know what I'm saying? But just keep it to yeah. So you know, you are a woman and you play djembe. Uh,
Hmm.
what has been your experience with that? Because I heard a lot of people say that women are not supposed to play djembe, that women are not supposed to play certain drums or drums, period. But yet we are, riddled with cases of female musicians, female drummers throughout history, like, ever since there was music. So can you tell us about your experience being a woman and being a Djembefola at the same time?
Well, I must say that it's been a very, very wonderful experience. Um, like I said before, I've been playing 20 plus years. And yes, I do have the naysayers and the how should I say it? Oh, she shouldn't be doing that because she's a woman, or honestly, I have people now who are males and they might not say it to me, you know what I'm saying? But they will feel a little envy, a little jealous because they'll be like, wow, you're a female, you're not supposed to be playing those drums, like, and you play like a powerhouse. I've been to places where they told me not to come back, you know what I'm saying? So,
Damn.
yeah, so I mean, it just varies on what it is, but I must say I love it and I'm grateful for where it's taken me. As a female djembe player, um, I do have the positives. I do have the brothers, that will big me up and respect me for who I am, even though they know culturally women are not supposed to be playing. They put that behind them and be like, okay, let's go, let's play. You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure.
But I've had a wonderful experience. I've been to Cuba. I've played
Nice.
back in 2016 when I was still in high school. My school was taking, we have our yearly trips, and this was the first trip, international trip, that they were able to take. And it was, you had to have rules and protocols on why you were going. So it was a cultural exchange. And who did they have to call? Me. So I was able to play in all three main little sects of Cuba, playing on the streets, having fun. It was
Bro.
experience. I even was asked to play on the ship because it was a cruise. Um, I've been multiple times back home to Jamaica to play. Not for like performance wise, more for like personal, personal family reasons and
Yeah,
matters.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I've been to North Carolina, a few years back to do a djembe suite with one of the dance companies up there. It was all females, and it was
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. We kind of blew all the Africans out the water. When that not one African male was there playing djembe. You know what I'm saying? And they were just rounding them up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I've played with a couple artists out here in Fort Lauderdale and Miami, more so on the reggae side. Willie Stewart, I go in and I work with him annually. Willie Stewart is from the Third World Band, Jamaican band. He was the former drum set player, but he's branched off to do his own thing for the community and for the children in the schools and music. And so I come and I represent the music of djembe, the art of djembe. I've been playing with him for like over 13 years. Um, I don't know if you watched the show Bring It. Um, Back in 2013. Like a dance show. So back in
Oh, okay. I think I
2013,
heard it. Yeah.
there's a dance company here locally in Miami called Young Contemporary Dance Theater, run by Miss Tracy Byron. I was actually in one of the episodes with my drum teacher, Baba Musa, and his late wife, Trina Sumare, who was my dance mom, um, when I was still dancing at the time. Um, so I've just been doing a lot. I've worked with Stephen Marley in the studio. So I've done like a lot of different things as a female djembe player, nationwide, even though it wasn't no big broad thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just grateful for the opportunities that I have and I have had and the opportunities that are going to arise for me, and it's just pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. Those are some heavy hitters that you got a chance to work with. That's,
Yeah.
what would you say has been something that has helped you sort of pivot and navigate between worlds, like from a traditional sort of djembe scene as it is here in America, right, to more, I guess, music side, popular music,
It
just
has to do with
navigating between those worlds.
to me, it has to do with your technique. Like djembe, even though I'm not a pro, I'm just where I am and I'm grateful. Like it's important because people think, oh, you could just play, traditional djembe. No, you can learn if you build a connection with your djembe, then you and your djembe can speak. My djembe can speak Latin, reggae, Orisha, voodoo, hip hop, jazz. Like my djembe can talk everything. I might not be able to like how should I say like djembe phonetically like some of the big brothers out there can do it, but I could, I could do it. I don't limit like what my djembe can
Come
and
on
can.
now.
So for me, I could play today. I could go play some Sinte, da da dinky dinky dink, and then tomorrow somebody might want me to play. Hey, can you play some, Afro beat, Caribbean? I could do that. You know what I'm saying? So it really has to do for me your technique because if your technique is not clean, oh, forget it. It's just going to be hard to tell the difference of the style that you're playing. You know what I'm saying? So it for me,
100%.
really technique.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm so glad you said that because I think that's a very popular misconception. People see, any type of drum or any type of, African based ensemble, right? That people can just kind of do it, but it definitely takes a level of training, a level of skill, a level of knowledge and understanding of what they're doing, and why. So yeah, yeah, I'm so glad you said that. What are some of your goals as a musician, as a Djembefola, as a cultural worker?
Well, my goals for gym as a djembe player is to, you know, try my best to show them the how should I say the the training aspect of it, or like the historical, and the it's more than just like playing. You got to know the history, whatever history that you study. You got to like know it. You got to live it. And my thing is, you know, just to know, the techniques, the proper origin of where things come from, where, how it's being made. It's not just all about just, okay, we're gonna sit down today and play some djembe. No, you got to have a little history behind it. So yeah, that's my goal, really, to really try to put my best foot forward to show the world that, you know this is an instrument and it should be respected just as a saxophone or a trumpet or even a general drum set. You know what I'm saying? Like, put some respect on our African traditional instruments. That's it.
Yeah, definitely, and that's a valid point. Reedy Bramer has done a lot in that regard as far as like putting djembe, on a very high standard, sort of setting the tone. His album being nominated, or him being nominated for a Grammy, and one of his songs off his album being nominated for Grammy with jazz soloist. That's revolutionary, right? Because now djembe is being seen as a legit instrument on par with, like you said, saxophone, trumpet, piano, bass. So yeah, it's definitely wide open. It's time to capitalize on that.
But my only thing is, there's no notation. There shouldn't be notation, because back then there was no notation. You'll have to sit down and listen. So it's like I went to a brother friend, a drummer friend's house, and he's studying in school, but the guy came home with books, notations in djembe, notations in conga, and I was like, no, that's not traditional instruments. That's not how it's supposed to go. It's You're supposed to find yourself a teacher and have a connection with your teacher, grow with your teacher, know your teacher's family, even if they live in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Know their children, your teacher's family, get acquaintance with them, and then you start to like learn. But I never learned how to play saying, okay, quarter note, rest. All right. No, it's like it's either three things: bass, tone, slap. Period. That's it. That's it.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, very well said. Oh my God, that's beautiful. I never learned with notation either. Although I think it's valuable to learn like how to read, how to write to some degree. These traditions, like you just said, are oral. And I think when people try to learn them outside of that, I think they lose a certain essence of what the music really carries and what's really happening. Because like you said, it's about being able to speak a language. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, we learn languages by hearing. That's how we first learn. So yeah.
Yep.
Um, what have been some of the biggest lessons in your journey so far?
Um, Really to just like stay focused and like try to be on that practice realm. You know what I'm saying? Not just, oh, today's some practice because tomorrow we have a show, you know? Or um we got a big production, so once a week we're just gonna have, like, I'm trying to like get in the habit of every day, trying to play, but also at the same time, it goes back to the amount of drummers I have here in my town where I live. It's either sometimes they might be working, or it might be too late. Different reasons. Like where I live, I can't really play djembe like that because it can disturb the rest of the neighbors. So my real thing is just to, stay on that study, not study, well, yes, study, but play more um to keep these hands up because it's like the whole month of February, I've had a lot of shows, and it's like my goal was okay, each day or every few days, I'm gonna try to keep up with the playing without waiting for a show, because then your calluses, they come in, they hurt, and then you got to play through the hurt. And so, my main thing is just to keep it going and not have it just like once a week or only when I have a show or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, sure. It can be tough, definitely tough. So do you play other styles of music, or is djembe like
No,
your main thing?
djembe is my main, but I could play congas a little bit. I got like three talking drums. I could play a little thing, but because of the love of music I have, I just improv on them, and they just make it makes it look like I play them professionally, but I don't. I used to play so high school and middle school. I played the clarinet. Then I was still playing djembe, still playing djembe outside of school. And then I switched over to drum set because I was like, you know what, forget this. I couldn't pay attention to the music. I always got lost in the music notation. So I told my music director, I was like, look, I just want to play drums. Just tell me how to play drum set. So he taught me how to play drum set, and I used to be the drum set player. Remember, the only girl playing drum set, and then they got congas in the music department. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go play that. And so I self-taught playing congas. I was, how I'm sitting right here on the computer during band rehearsal and sectionals. I used to take the laptop, I used to take the congas, and I used to, basic 1 2 1 2. And that's kind of how, and then I improv them with my djembe notations, notations. I meant patterns, and that's kind of how I got congas. But I also have Shaker Ray, but I just play mostly djembe, but I can play a little congas. I can play um a little talking drum, and I can play bata, but that I barely ever touch a bata. We all know how that is, but I got that one experience when I went to Cuba. When I went to Cuba, we went to this town called uh I can't even, I mean, I ain't gonna even say it because it was in Spanish, but in English in my town I call it like the Orisha town in Havana. And that was my first and actually only time picking up a bata and playing. So that's something else that I would like to dive into, but we know that's a whole nother story for a different time. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it has a similar uh dialogue, I guess, with the whole like yummy thing. But there are women that play bata. There are quite a few.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
my goal is to break the barriers of the stereotype of only men should be playing. No, I mean it's for women too. So
facts. That's how it is. That's what it is. So I want to ask you, what do you see as the future of djembe music, or just any of these, diasporic traditions that we are practitioners of, as it relates to serving the community, given the changes in our society, changes in technology? What do you see as the outlook on that?
well, as you see, everything is going digitally. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there wouldn't everybody's just, recording. No one's trying to do live. So it's like back then it used to be a lot of, live music and stuff. Everybody wants to just jump in the studio and just, which is fine. It's great. But I feel like still keep the live music and the live moments going on. So I feel like, but for right now, I feel like djembe is kind of going on a like more digital way. If you understand what I'm saying,
Could you
more on
elaborate?
digital platforms now. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. I see that. Definitely
Yeah.
see that because it's the changing in the market, just how people consume music, people's taste in music. Um, Even though I think, yeah, there's a lot of trap, there's a lot of electronics, there's still some sort of need or want for just a more earthy, a more rooted, more cultural sound. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I think that's where I think that's heading. Hopefully I kind of answered it, but I hope yeah.
yeah, no, you did. Who are some of your biggest influences, not just on djembe, but in music period?
Um, well, my music genre is kind of like, you know, strict in a way. I honestly just listen to djembe music and, voodoo music, Orisha music, reggae, and Afrobeat. Um, but I'm probably just taking in sections. So, because I like to speak on what I know and what I can speak on. So, for African diaspora music, djembe wise, I would say like Weedy is a good person that I look up to because his tonalities are out the window. You know what I'm saying? Like Key, um, the older elders like Famadou, um, also one of my favorite Ivory Coast drummers are Dr. Joby, him, um, who else do I say? Of course, the great and greatest Mama Decatur. Uh, then most of like the cat, the how should I say it? The generation before Mama Decatur. So all the ones that are all over my the US diaspora now. So the list can go on. We got Mange, we got uh Fode Banguru, we got Fode Lavia, we got, all of those I look up to. I listen to their music regularly. Also the new and upcoming artist that we're knowing about is God, Sidi Dembele or something like that. Sid, Sidi, Sidi,
Siddiqui.
yes, him. I listen to him a lot. And Basidi as well. And
Yes.
then to go on like the reggae side of things, more on a roots reggae vibe would be Bongo Herman. Um, some brothers who have transitioned would be Carrot from Third World. Who else? Mm, it's kind of few for the reggae, but it's more so like, the Roots Foundation music, like Midnight and Ross Michael and the Sons of Negus. Those are my aspirations and goals. And when I listen to their music, I try to see where I can insert a djembe. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Definitely. Man, how do you pronounce your name?
It is Nanyamka.
Nanyamka. Okay.
It means
Nanyamka.
it means God's gift. My mom named me from an African book from Ghana, and what else did she say? It's from one of the tribes, but I think it's the Ibu tribe. I think it's the Ibu tribe. But yeah, so but everybody just calls me Nanny for short. And how I came up with the with Nanny G is, well, everybody knows me as Nanny, but my last name starts with a G, but I also think of the energy that I bring on stage. So I just say Nanny G. So yeah.
There you go. There you go. Energy, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for your energy, your perspective, your take on things. You're definitely a vibrant light in this space, in this community. And, I think voices like yours deserve to be heard. How can people learn more about you, support your work, get in touch with you?
Well, I have YouTube. You can just put my name in, my full name, government name, Nanyamka Graham, or same thing on Facebook. On Instagram, my music page is Jam Indian Rhythms. Um, it's JAMINDIAN Rhythms, RIDMRIDDMZ. Um, yeah, that's where I'm at. And yeah.
Cool, 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 cool. Thanks, Danny G. Thank you so much again. It's great. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, brother. Peace and blessings.
Peace.